He absolutely should sell. First off, it's good to see you, my dog. I feel a little bit of pressure.
You feel a little
with you being back. I do. I got to come back with my A game.
Yes.
Bill Belichick should feel pressure because we know this. We know, one, it's a what have you done for me lately league, not just a what have you done for me league.
Yes.
We also know this. All great relationships come to an end. Remember, sometimes all of them do. Remember what happened with Jerry Krause and the Bulls? You win 3 chips, break, you win 3 chips. But 1999, that breaks up. Shaq and Kobe, the late, great Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, 3-peat, lose, that breaks up. You see all great relationships in sports. Eventually, they do come to an end. Bill Belichick, as great as he is not immune from the ending of a relationship. But why should he feel pressure? Because I think Robert Kraft knows something that Belichick has yet to acknowledge.
Ooh, let's go.
Robert Kraft has seen the blind spot that Bill Belichick hasn't been able to see. Because what winning does is winning covers a multitude of errors.
Of sins.
You know that.
Yes,
it does. It does. Covers a multitude of sins, covers a multitude of errors. What do I mean? Steve Kerr, we've recently realized, we may have been giving a little too much of a pass because of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and even Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, right? Like, we just assume Steve Kerr is a phenomenal coach because he won chips. But then Klay Thompson, he gets hurt. Kevin Durant, he moves on. Steph Curry can be in and out of the lineup at times. And all of a sudden, you see a 60-point blowout. And you're like, wait a second. Is Golden State really all that good? Is Steve Kerr, really all that good? Bill Belichick, Marcellus Wiley, the last 8 years has drafted terribly. Terribly?
By what standard
By the
and measurement?
metric of this. And I'm glad you asked. I missed you, sir, because you asked me those questions.
Damn right.
They let me off the hook last week.
Well, I was at home chilling, on vacation, feet up, like, ask him this, ask him that.
Ask him that question.
Right, let's go.
By this metric, the last 8 years, Bill Belichick has drafted 2 Pro Bowlers.
Oh, God.
One of which was a punter. The other of which he traded 3 years later. The 8 years prior, however, you see it right there, Bill Belichick drafted roughly 8 Pro Bowlers, and I'll just give you some names. Dante Hightower, Rob Gronkowski, Logan Mankins, Devin McCourty. Like, these are the players Bill Belichick had drafted from 2005 to 2012. Then from 2013 to present day, you see who Bill Belichick has drafted. The kicker is this. 2005 to 2012, that draft was the nucleus of the second dynasty. The last 3 Pro Bowls.
Did you say second dynasty?
Because, you know, the Patriots won 3 prior to 05, 3 out of 4, and then they took that stretch. Bill Belichick was in his bag, and then they won 3 more. But the problem is, because you won 3, you've overlooked the sins of the draft as of late because of Tom Brady. On my second lap, I'm going to reveal the exact blind spot that Robert Kraft sees that Bill Belichick has yet to see, which is why Bill Belichick is under so much pressure this coming season.
Who's to say you're going to get a second lap, man? Who's to say you're going to qualify for the semifinals after what I'm about to say? Set a standard where your time is not going to qualify. All right, let's get to it. It's been good to see you, big dog. Boy, I cursed out an 80-inch TV a lot last week, and I'm about to talk to you right now in person. Should Bill Belichick feel pressure this season? Hell no. Let's start here, because I watched a lot of Law & Order. When I was out. You know when you bored, you said Law & Order always serve you up right. All of them.
My dog.
Oh, yeah. SWV, I don't give a damn. I'm watching Law & Order. Doesn't matter. Let me say this. One thing we all know, court of law, even watching Law & Order reinforces it. A man should be judged by a jury of his peers. Okay. There is no jury to judge Bill Belichick. There are no peers to judge Bill Belichick. There is no other coach who can say, oh, I've had 2 dynasties, but let's cover up the sins that Emmanuel Acho wants to espouse. No other person can even say that, let alone qualify to what Bill Belichick is. So nobody can judge Bill Belichick. Certainly not you, Mr. 4-year NFL player. Certainly not me, Mr. 10-year NFL player. Like, we're crumbs on the standard of what Bill Belichick should be respected as. Now, let's talk about other coaches, since you want to go there, and the pressure. Let's talk about Bill Belichick and wins and losses. He's 3rd all-time in wins and losses right now. 3rd all-time. But I didn't want to do that because it's too easy to say Bill Belichick's the greatest because he has 6 Super Bowl championships. Let's use, I said, top 10. I said, nah, top 10 is still too easy because none of those guys even have Super Bowls. Top 17. I finally got down to 17. Why I picked that number? Because 18 was pretty good. I was like, but top 17 head coaches. Peep game with the most wins. Imagine this, top 17 coaches all time by wins. Only one other coach even has more than 2 Super Bowl rings. Bill Belichick is like, grab me the top coaches, add them up, +1, and I'm still more than them. Let's talk about this. 8 of the 17, that's basically half, of the 17 coaches don't even have a Super Bowl, and they have all those wins to show nothing.
Sure.
All I'm saying to you is, first, when you talk about the pressure of Bill Belichick, let's make sure you understand how to properly measure it. It's not by Pro Bowls. It's not by the draft. It's about how all of those resources and opportunities add up to the greatest opportunity, which is the Super Bowl championship.
Yes,
and that's what Bill Belichick laps the field with. So I give it to you like this. When you look at Bill Belichick, stop talking about, well, are you going to do your third dynasty? When you haven't asked any other coach, have they even done that first dynasty? When you talk about Bill Belichick, don't skip over the fact that he has had 2 dynasties and is only 1 year removed from the second dynasty. You got to judge Bill Belichick by who he is and by his peers. And so far, I don't even see a peer.
Here's the problem, Sel. The problem is complacency will keep you from excellence. And this sounds like a very complacent mindset. Why do I say that? The reason Bill Belichick got that second dynasty was because he went back to the draft room and said, you know what? I need to get to work.
How?
See, there's a quote by Jeff Saturday, and that quote is, it came in a part of these notes.
Philosopher.
He's not, but he's a Super Bowl champ.
Okay.
Say that quote. Like he got he's a Super Bowl champ, but all deferred to Saturday. What the hell? Jeff Saturday, Pro Bowl, All-Pro center. He said this. He said, Bill Belichick's not in the nature of winning the draft. He's in the nature of winning championships.
Bingo.
So that's a bar. On face value, that's a bar. That sounded very poetic. It sounded very intelligent. But then I realized this. Unless you have Tom Brady, in order to win championships, you have to win the draft. Unless you have Tom Brady, in order to win championships, you got to win the draft.
Let's go.
Let's look at the teams that have won Super Bowl championships the last several years. Kansas City Chiefs, they won the draft. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. Before that, again, the Patriots won. They had Tom Brady, but who the Patriots play? The Rams. They won a draft. Jared Goff, Aaron Donald. Before that, the Philadelphia Eagles were in the Super Bowl beating Tom Brady. They won the draft. Carson Wentz, they drafted. Nick Foles, they drafted. Now, Nick Foles took a roundabout way to find his way back home. But again, they drafted him. Before that, you got the Panthers face the Broncos. Broncos also had a Hall of Fame generational talent at quarterback. They won that Super Bowl. But who really won that Super Bowl? You remember the NFL MVP or the Super Bowl MVP that year, Von Miller. They won the draft. Demaryius Thomas. They won the draft. Unless you have Tom Brady, you have to win the draft. This is a point I'm trying to make, Sel, is this.
Yeah, please.
Robert Kraft realizes, wait a second, we don't have Tom Brady anymore. So because we don't have Tom Brady anymore, Bill Belichick, you better start winning the draft. And that is where the pressure comes in. Tom Brady covered Bill Belichick's flaws. Tom Brady covered Bill Belichick's errors. Anybody else who had been managing a team like this is getting crucified, a la Howie Roseman. The last Pro Bowl player the Eagles general manager, Howie Roseman, drafted was Carson Wentz. And prior to that, you got to go back to like 2013 and Zach Ertz and Lane Johnson. Howie Roseman has been put on this crucifixion pedestal as well. The difference is he ain't got nothing to cover for him. Whereas Bill Belichick has had Tom Brady to cover for him. Robert Kraft has seen the blind spot. And the blind spot is simple. Tom Brady no longer exists. You have to win the draft, and there is pressure now that comes with that.
Is that really seeing the blind spot or just pushing the panic button too early, if that is even pushing the panic button too early? We're having 2 different conversations. Mine is more interesting than yours, but we'll still have yours because you're on this show, and I respect my co-host. Here's the thing. I'm having a conversation to stop telling me about all the steps, all the means to an end. I just want to talk about the end game. Like, you keep telling me, well, if you don't get this player and this player, it's not going to add up because of their Pro Bowls or All Pros or their status and stature. All I'm saying is when you become a New England Patriot, chances are you're going to become a winner. You're trying to say all that has departed because one player has left.
Yes, sir.
More than one player left also in that same year. But we're going to focus in on Tom Brady. Here's your problem. No quarterback under Bill Belichick's system hits the ground running, including Tom Brady. Tom Brady, his first year, you know what he did? Passed out donuts and chicken. That's what you're supposed to do as a rookie. Second year, he was doing that again. And then finally, an opportunity presented itself because of injury to Drew Bledsoe. That said, all of a sudden, everything changes. The fortunes of Bill Belichick, a losing head coach at the time, all of a sudden becomes the GOAT of head coaches. Tom Brady, pick 199, 6th rounder, all of a sudden becomes the GOAT, Tom Brady. But what you don't want to respect is that time before they became the GOAT. The time that we're in right now. I remind you, Bill Belichick, when he had Vinny Testaverde first year, didn't do a damn thing. Tom Brady first year, just told you, didn't do a damn thing. Matt Castle, everybody was like, he went 11 games with Matt Castle. In year 4, Cam Newton now, year 2, big difference. Jimmy Garoppolo, year 3. You see it all the time with these quarterbacks under a Belichick system. It takes time to internalize and then hit the ground.
That's fair. I'm not going to push back on that take. I'm not going to push back on a quarterback who, in his first year in the system, had to be the starter.
Without continuity, without all season, without a preseason.
All that.
Okay.
What I will push back on is this. Bill Belichick, you the manager of the team. Why were you ever in a position to have to start a quarterback with no prior experience?
This ain't baseball. You know,
what you told me was this, Sal. Matt Castle had been on the roster. We know that. Jimmy G had been on the roster. We know that.
Yeah.
Even Tom Brady didn't have to start right away. We know that. So, Bill Belichick, over the duration of your coaching greatness, you never made this mistake. Over the duration of your coaching greatness, you always had a bullet in the chamber.
What mistake?
Over the duration, the mistake is this.
What mistake?
The most important position in the most watched game in the greatest country is quarterback. You know that. I know that. I only played 4 years in the league. You remind me. You only played 10 years in the league. I remind you. I know that in my lesser greatness. The fans at home, they know that. So if Bill Belichick knows the most important position in the greatest game in the greatest country is quarterback, how in the world does he go into a season without the most important position in the greatest game in the greatest country? Robert Kraft is looking like, hey, big dog, that's strike 1.
Oh, really?
It has to be.
You want? You up here?
That's strike 1.
Okay.
Because the other thing is this. Bill Belichick already wanted to replace Tom Brady in 2014.
Oh, now we could.
Robert Kraft was
Keep going. Keep going.
What you doing there? So I'm saying this, big dog. If we have seen great relationships come to an end in sports, because that dynasty the Bulls had was great too, and we just watched last year a whole documentary on that, how that evaporated. If we've seen great relationships come to an end, I'm not going to be so ignorant as to think Bill Belichick is immune to an end.
You sure you ain't gonna be that ignorant? I don't know. I'm about to retort. All relationships don't come to an end. Aunt Kizzy and Uncle Cornelius still together. 65 years, I think. They got married in junior high or something like that. You know how it is, old South black families. Anyway, they still together. Second of all, how dare you try to push back with something that I actually respect, that Kraft is looking at Belichick like, And you know what Belichick looking at him like? Up higher as a coach than Kraft is as an owner, looking down at him and saying this: I told you so. I told you in 2014, let me handle this. Let me have the successor that I wanted in Jimmy G. I'm glad you brought it up, but you brought it up in the wrong context. You brought it up like Kraft looking at Belichick sideways. Belichick looking at Kraft sideways like, why now you going to come out to the media and cover your butt when I try to tell you how this game is played? The game was supposed to be played where there was supposed to be a transition, a smoother one than this one. But who interrupted that process, since you want to talk facts? Bob Kraft, Columbia University's finest. Bob Kraft interrupted this process. All I'm saying is right now, you're watching the cover of Bob Kraft because he saw what happened last year. And what did happen last year? 7-9. All these expectations now, oh my God, the dynasties are over. He's never going to be a winning coach again. He won't win another Super Bowl. In 1 year removed from Tom Brady and the dynasty, premature to me. So let me say this. First, let me give you a little Wileyism to tell you about the pressure Bill Belichick does not feel in this moment. Oh, it's been a long time. The struggle to the top of the ladder is getting through the crowd at the bottom. That's what Bill Belichick is feeling right now. Ain't no pressure for Bill Belichick right now. The pressure was coming from Cleveland and trying to find me a program, find me an organization, find me a quarterback, find me a team, find me a way to success. And he found that. The crowd at the bottom, everyone else let me do it this way. Andy Reid plus Mike Holmgren plus Pete Carroll plus Bill Cowher plus Tony Dungy plus John Harbaugh, all added up together, still need somebody else to have more Super Bowl rings than Bill Belichick. And every one of those coaches I named were great, if not greater than great. And you're looking at Bill Belichick like he feels pressure. The pressure was not being like those guys, just sitting here with one ring talking about how great I am. The pressure is not being up top by yourself, lapping the entire field like Bill Belichick has.
That's cute, and that is great, and that is amazing. But the fact of the matter is, businessmen, billionaires don't become billionaires by being nice people. Robert Kraft don't become a billionaire by resting on the laurels of what Bill Belichick did from 2001 to 2000.
Facts.
Robert Kraft is trying to say, how can I get my next billion? Robert Kraft is trying to say, what can I do next? And here's the sneaky thing about pressure. Oftentimes, you don't know it's there until it's too late. So, at the beginning of this football season, if someone were to say, hey, Doug Peterson will be fired by the end of it, you and I both would have scoffed at that thought. Like, we both would have laughed. You've been to 3 playoffs in the last 4 years. You won a Super Bowl. You won a Super Bowl against the greatest dynasty in the history of football. You wrote a book that Jeffrey Lurie, the owner of the team, forwarded. Yeah. Like, if you and I would have been told Doug Peterson would be gone, we would have scoffed at that. Because we would have been like, oh, that's the dumbest thing in the world. All I'm saying is this. You can only afford so many 7 and 9 seasons, especially when you set the bar at greatness if you're Bill Belichick. He has internal pressure because he's great and he wants to be greater, and he has external pressure in Robert Kraft. I can't deny both of those pressures at play.
What I don't understand with you, and we always have this argument in different forms and fashions, is that you don't respect equity. You just don't respect. You don't. Like, you literally think your house is exactly what you're going to sell it for, huh? Like, right now, there's some equity in there. You can use that as a bump, but you don't even look at it. You ain't going to refi. You're just going to sit there and say, I like my high interest rate.
But does equity exist in the NFL?
Hell yes, it does. When Flojo set the 100-meter world record at 10:49. That record will never be broken. It's on camera right now. I'm telling every lady out there, sorry, run for second.
I don't think it's completely legal, by the way. But go ahead.
We gonna have that conversation too? You're right there. But here's the thing. We're gonna wait for the Flojo doc to come out. Let's see what they do about that. Point is, second place, Carmelita Jeter. Hongi, what's up? 10.64. That's 15 hundredths of a second behind the top. That's not even in the same field. If you saw that race, 10.65, we're in 10.49, you'd be like, yo, where the rest of the runners at? They're not even close. That's Bill Belichick in comparison to great head coaches. They are back there fighting for silver. You're trying to say because Bill Belichick has this lead, he may lose some of this lead. Did he lose enough where he won't have enough leash to be Bill Belichick?
All I'm trying to say is this. Where was the equity for Peyton Manning in Indianapolis? Where was the equity for Emmitt Smith for the Cowboys?
Neck surgeries?
Where was the equity for
slowing down?
No, where was the equity for so many other greats, whether you want to say Aaron Rodgers? He ain't even got equity in Green Bay right now.
Aaron Rodgers is not the same level as Bill Belichick as a coach.
I don't know.
No one is.
I don't think equity exists in football. I think at the end of the day, every season you still end up multiplying by 0. And when you multiply by 0, it doesn't matter what digits precede that. When you multiply by 0, you will always get back to 0. I don't know that equity truly exists in football, because if it did, it would have existed for one of the greatest quarterbacks in Manning. It would have existed for one of the greatest running backs in Emmitt Smith. It would have existed for one of the greatest quarterbacks in Packers history in Aaron Rodgers. It would have existed for Tom Brady. Equity ain't even really exist for Tom Brady. So how does it exist for Bill Belichick?
Because Bill Belichick's not a player. I love it. Multiply every player's greatness by 0, like you said. Do that with a coach, you're going to end up with 0. Coaches outlast players. He is the culture. In his worst display as a coach, as a general manager, as you say, they went 7-9, dog, with no players on the field. They played with the JV squad and still went out there. Bet on Belichick, and you bet right.